Hey, it's me, Big P. I wanted to do an update on how the Grenadier Witchhunter has been going. We just beat Act 3 in the normal campaign, so I want to go over my gear, most notably the weapon, and all the rest of the stuff that kind of got me through the campaign and where the build's at now, where it's going to go, and maybe some tips to help, because it's been a slog. Act 2, we were, literally and figuratively running into walls, and definitely a few rage quits here and there, because the game is just Elden Ring now, Dark Souls now, but Big Pilgrim is a Dark Souls 1 reference, so I'm here for it. I've had a lot of fun with the grenades. I'll just mouse over all the gear real quick. Nothing really fancy, although I am kind of proud of this craft, or like early craft, whatever you can call it, for, around Act 3. Like, I was just like, all right, let's give it a try, and ends up being worth it to put some sockets and some other stuff as you need it. This dropped in like the first zone of the game, and it's gotten me through. As soon as it dropped, I was like, that seems good, and it sure was for quite some time. And then this, like, I just picked up. This is okay. I mean, like, my int is like, I don't know. You really do want to have a lot of attributes spread out if you want to use a lot of different gems, which I would recommend kind of getting into earlier, sooner rather than later. And then you can get some like good flat fizz damage to attacks, or any damage to attacks really, on gloves, which people are gonna need. I think people are underestimating how much attack builds need, stuff like that. Here's the rest of the gear. Quick look at the tree. I haven't ascended fully yet because I got mad at the ultimatum bullshit that's happening. For the tree, I kind of rushed. What did I rush even? I mean, I kind of went just down this way, and I went volatile grenades and extra cooldown use there. I didn't get this until I had gotten this already, and then also probably wouldn't recommend it until you have fast forward in the links, which is effectively less duration, shortens the fuse time from, here's fuse 2, it's just over 3 seconds, and now it's just over 2 seconds with the gem in. And there is a noticeable difference. Like, here's explosive grenade, which is the main damage dealer. Yeah. You probably could still get away with it, especially because I'm kind of alternating between 2 grenades, or really more grenades, with what's on the skill bar now, because I did want to go over some earlier setups. Like grass grenade you can use early to kind of do it. I wonder if that, like, shotgun explosions between the gas and the oil grenades separately, that might be worth it to keeping them all on the toolbar here. I don't normally actually shuffle through 4 grenades, but for the showcase I was going to show some stuff here, as well as the difference between having 2 additional grenades, both as the implicit on the bombard crossbow, which starts dropping around Act 3. If you're a grenade build, gotta look into crafting on one of these ASAP, but not if it's, not better than what you're actually using. This is like the old bow I was using, which actually is better damage, but like if I swap this in, the damage goes up, but the coverage and shotgun potential is way better with 3. Especially because 2 is kind of awkward. 2 grenades, it kind of splits them like that. Like, it's like, oh, I'm aiming at this thing. Boom. And if these were actually like walls too, like, don't even get me started. Like, grenades can be a little weird and wonky. We did just beat the campaign. I did the Act 3 boss on the first try, which felt really good. But as far as around Act 2, we were having some trouble, especially in a particular boss where my grenades were falling off of a platform. Where you aim will make a difference of the spread, obviously. So if you're playing on like controller or something like that, just be aware, like, you're not going to have the same like level of precision, but you can make up for it with a bunch of AoE and like overlaps and stuff. We did get like some AoE and cooldown recovery right here, which is really nice for grenades. Basically the way grenades work, they're separate from bolts. I'm not really using bolts anymore. Maybe I'll use the detonator bolt if, for some reason some grenades have a really long fuse, but this is feeling pretty usable and plenty coverage. Even early on, you can kind of, like, if I, for example, this would be an early setup. As soon as you get gas grenade, you can kind of just alternate between them. I'd probably put the multiple projectiles on the gas grenade itself, just so you can detonate it with an explosive grenade, and just have that sort of coverage there. But right now I'm just liking voltaic grenade a little bit more, because we are also spec'd into like additional penetration, just generic elemental damage with attacks and stuff like that. We've got like generic elemental damage here. Oh, and of course repeating an additional time. I don't see it that much, but it definitely is helping. It's hard to tell when you're like shitting out a bunch of grenades, especially if they're like bouncing off, you know, walls and stuff like that. In the open areas here, it's a little tricky to tell, but like, you know, you're gonna have to be aware of like level geometry and walls. Sometimes they can help, you know, overlap stuff, but sometimes they'll just like be blocking your shots. You know, it's just part of the skill, part of the next gen, you know, engine, where they have their own individual things. Maybe there's an example here where they have like hitboxes. Like, can I just like shoot it? Oh, did I not do this thing? So let's do the boss here. I mean, oh, this one you are going to want to toss down a oil grenade. Let's see if we can get that buildup of electrocute and then get him stunned. Yep, she's stunned, so now she's got the red bar. Drop a lot of that on him. Oh no, the electrocute didn't happen yet. Here comes the electrocute. There you go. So see, you can kind of, with the stun and the electrocute, damage it needs to be getting a little better again now that we're in cruel difficulty, but you know, you can kind of just deal with the stuff as it comes up. You don't even really need to think about it, you know. Once you get to a point where you have a bunch of grenades and a bunch of area, it's just like, yeah, everything. They don't hurt you for some reason because you're the magical exile, so congratulations. Just blast everything. Other than that, like, yeah, just keep looking for weapon upgrades. That goes for any attacks, but especially for grenades. The only thing that levels up for explosive grenade, for example, which is going to be like the bread and butter, I think, the core of most grenade builds, at least early on, it converts physical damage to fire damage, so it is pretty much a fire skill in essence, but it's built off a physical base type of a weapon. So like, don't be fooled by, like, for example, Glacial Cascade, I know like monks are using. You need physical damage on your weapon. So that new like voltaic staff or whatever, maybe I'm mixing that up, you know, if it only has lightning damage on the whatchamacallit, on the base type, it's not gonna be that great. Same goes for this, you know, if there's like another base type, unless the damage is sufficient, you know, just be aware of where your damage is coming from. In this case, you know, a couple on rings here. I was able to actually crafted this pretty much from scratch. Like, I threw some extra quality on it. I basically just threw all the gear or all the currency I'd been saving from the first 3 acts at this thing. So I regaled it after I got the base, transmuted. I think like I got like life on hit and physical damage. So I was like, fuck it, good enough. Let's get like a tier 2 cold res on it. It's a pretty shitty bow, honestly, and weapons can get much better, especially now that I'm in cruel difficulty, so I'm looking out for new base types and stuff like that. But really just like that extra grenade, you know, because as I showed you before, the 2 just would feel awkward. It's not the same, you know. I can only imagine like the shotgunning off the wall here. It'd still be there, but you know, just keep in mind, it won't be worth it to just equip like a white bombard crossbow, just because it's giving you an extra projectile if you don't have any good damage multipliers on it. This was like a much better bow, and is actually, you know, technically a DPS increase, unless you account for overlaps and of course just general coverage and utility for the build. What else? I mean, campaign was awesome. This game is like really cool. It feels like a Dark Souls, Elden Ring tier bossing. Which I always considered GGG to have like really great boss design. You know, most of the memorable and interesting stuff was in PoE 1 was like the bossing, because mapping was kind of madness, and now that moment-to-moment gameplay seems to have been just applied to the whole dang thing, and it's feeling fun. I know a lot of other people are having some issues with the general pace and amount of loot in the game, but it's like, you know what? The game's not about making $1 bajillion per hour. It's about shooting, you know, fireballs at skeletons or whatever the hell's going on in this game. So if they're going to be focusing more on the mechanics and the gameplay and things like that, I'm all for it. Especially because it's still going to boil down, you know, the pieces are taking longer to fall than they would on like a League start, for example. You know, people are figuring out some broken shit. I've seen some real broken shit, and mine doesn't feel like it's anything broken, but it feels good after it felt bad. And I got there by figuring stuff out. I guess I didn't go over the gem setups, did I? No. I'm yapping, but I didn't even go over the skills. I'm not using rounds, fragmentation rounds. I'm not using any bolts, really. It's still on the skill bar, but like I said, you can use explosive shot or whatever. I'm being lazy about leveling and switching the stuff up ever since I found something that like actually worked for me, which was explosive grenade with conk effect, primal armament, and fast forward. Primal armament rather is a level 2 skill gem, so I would look into getting that as soon as possible. And pretty much any elemental damage attack build, it's really good. And then fast forward, as I showed, you know, the skill effect duration. You can actually get this early and could be a part of the 3-link. I wouldn't blame you for that. Conk effect, I don't know. I've swapped between like using this, voltaic grenade, gas grenade as like the main damage dealers, depending on you know, what I was up against. If a specific boss, for example, was really resistant to fire, that's kind of how I started to get into voltaic grenade, because it was weak to shock, or at least not resistant to it. It's kind of like D2. I get a lot of D2 vibes from this game, where it's like, okay, you know, just have the ability to swap between elements in your build, and you'll be better off for it. Otherwise, you're gonna have a real bad time if you're against like the fire resistant rare, for example, or a specific boss that, you know, doesn't have fire resistance or has a lot of resistance, especially if you don't have like oil grenade, which is providing fire exposure. You know, there's like frost bomb, stuff like that's like not that obvious to maybe newer players, but like if you're not reducing resistances in some way, you might just want to have other resistances. I'm not really like built for shock, electrocution buildup or whatever, but just by virtue of having a lot of damage, I mean, I guess I am now with overwhelming presence. Once I decided to say fuck the banner, I already have a bunch of buttons between my different grenade types, my artillery ballista, my flame wall. It's like, you know what, let's get rid of the banner. Let's just have better ailment threshold and stun build up while they're in my presence. Seems pretty good so far, but I mean, I don't know if it's technically giving this a lot of damage. It's really more utility. Again, we'll see. If we can fit some cold damage in the build, it's probably going to be pretty cool too. Voltaic grenades, just scatter shot and area of effect, just to give it really great coverage. This is the clear skill, and then stuff gets electrocuted. Anything that's still there can get blown up by this. And again, early on, it's just good to maybe have like 2 different grenades that you're swapping between so that you can keep it. I was using, you know, fragmentation rounds early on to kind of supplement damage while the cooldowns were coming back, but like, let's see how far I can continuously fire. Like, yeah, no, with this cooldown recovery, you can like almost completely spam at least one of them. You left click, you right click, you have enough. Like, there's no way to get, you know, once you have a certain amount of cooldown recovery speed on the tree. This was probably what put me over the top there, so you can just spam grenades, because I wasn't about. It's a little clunky when you consider you have to reload this separately. I mean, it's like its own thing, but like, you know, I'm a grenade build. A lot of my build nodes are specific to grenade. Like, I don't think this is like, is this doing anything for like crossbow, like I don't know if this is like only specific for, you know, is reload only for loading fragmentation rounds? Does it have anything to do with this? I don't think so. I think it's just base attack speed that's determining how fast I shoot those. So let me know if I'm wrong or whatever, but you know, you got to be pretty efficient on PoE 2 trees, otherwise you're not going to get a lot of damage. So I kind of just went for all the damage nodes I could here. I don't know if there's a way to like, oh, this was good early. I think a lot of people are taking this move speed and attack speed if you've killed recently, which you should be, you know, through the campaign. And then, yeah, just increased fuse duration really hurts. I wouldn't get that before you get volatile grenade. And I mean, depending on if it's a really good node, like, don't get me wrong, but we'll see if it's still applies depending on all the fuse timers we have for any late game setups, which we're going to start getting into now because we're in Cruel and yeah, having fun. Artillery ballista is just like whatever, just put like some damage attack nodes in there if you want to do a little more damage with it. Excuse me, I basically just was using it because I wanted a friend, and it also has like collisions. You can like block a doorway and then just like shoot a bunch of grenades through it. People have been using rapid shot because grenades gain 6% of extra fire damage per heat. Let's give it a try. Like maybe if I got a weapon swap where like it feels a little faster or something, but like I don't know. I feel like the heat doesn't like stick around long enough for it really like
I don't know. I'm just at the point where I'm just shooting grenades. Like, maybe if I can put some, like, utility on this, I can make it worth it. But, like, I feel like it's just more damage to just shoot grenades during that whole time, especially because I can, and my build is kind of built for that, so remains to be seen if we're using any sort of actual crossbow shit. See, because, like, look at that, like, it takes so long to start up. Like, here's a button press right now. That just feels bad. Like, once it gets started, it's okay, but, like, I don't know. I'd rather just be doing this. Yeah, maybe it is worth it. We'll see later on. I mean, I am wanting for damage. I do need to get an upgrade now, but it's all about upgrading weapons. That's what the progress is for. Now I'm just kind of yammering. Come by the streams and check for updates here. We're going to be playing this for at least a week, probably way more than a week, unless I re-roll into something super broken instead, because that's the only way to actually progress the game. But I think we'll make it at least to maps, and then hopefully we can clear maps with some sort of... I mean, right now, this feels like it would be fine for clearing dense packs and completely, you know, clearing shit out. So stay tuned and we'll see. Oh, shit. They're coming for me. Alright. I'll see you in the next one. I hope I don't die. Bye.